The world is running out of fossil fuels. Gas prices are only getting higher, and our dependence on fossil fuels is growing. The fossil fuel route just isn't working anymore. Fossil fuels are non-renewable, polluting the air, and adding to climate change. Yes, fossil fuels give us the gas we need to drive, but 57% of major air pollution is due to the gases that emit from transportation vehicles. So, what could be an alternative? How do we stop the depletion of energy resources from getting any worse? I think the next step towards a more energy efficient and healthier life is with biomass. Biomass is when someone uses plants and animal materials for fuel. Some examples of materials would be wood or sawdust, crops, food or yard wastes in the garbage, animal manure, and even human sewage. I really think biomass could be one way to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels and replace the harmful gasoline we use in our vehicles. Biomass is actually pretty simple to convert to energy in some cases. For example, if the biomass is solid like wood or garbage, you can burn them directly to produce heat. In other cases, such as plants being burned, the biomass contains stored energy from the sun. This happens through the process of photosynthesis. A chemical energy is released as heat when the plant is burned. Other than directly burning the biomass would be to convert it into a gas called biogas or into a liquid called biofuel. I believe biofuel would be very instrumental in the fight to get rid of our dependence on gasoline, which is a fossil fuel. Biofuels that are most common would be ethanol and biodiesel. Ethanol is made from crops such as corn and sugarcane, and the biodiesel is produced from vegetable oil and animal fats. Both biofuels can replace gasoline to fuel vehicles. This would be a good alternative because biomass is a renewable resource, so we will always have access to it. Believe it or not, biomass is actually one of the oldest fuels known to humans. People in developing countries still rely on it heavily. But I think if we turn back to some old habits, like using biomass, it would really cut down on our use of fossil fuels. But of course, for every good idea, there are pros and cons.
The sources of biomass are organic matter from plants, animals, and waste, such as crops, excrement, and garbage, which get converted into a sustainable form of energy. The pros of biomass are that it is a renewable source of fuel. It reduces our dependence on fossil fuels. It is carbon neutral, and it is cost effective, being 1/3 less than fossil fuels. In addition, biomass is good for countries struggling with their waste because it converts waste into fuel. There is a lot of potential for biomass due to the abundance of resources available to use. On the contrary, the production of biomass has more negative effects than positive. Cons it has are that it contains a carbon storage that is released into the atmosphere when combusted. The use of biomass does environmental damage by releasing several gases like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and volatile organic compounds, which all contribute to air pollution, meaning more greenhouse gases. Also, the construction and production of biomass energy plants is very expensive. It is more expensive than any other energy plant. The use of biomass can also lead to clear cutting or deforestation because when waste products are not available, you will need new materials, and wood is the primary source of energy for biomass. Biomass is also not entirely efficient because it sometimes requires the use of gas for it to combust and can be harmful to most engines. Biomass requires the water available in a community, and most communities are not able to dedicate their water for the use of fuel. Biomass takes up a lot of space for its factories, and most landowners are not happy with it. As with every source of energy, there are pros and cons, but as you can see, the cons for biomass outweigh the pros.
Biomass is a renewable energy source, which means it cannot be depleted. Biomass helps climate change by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. It reduces the amount of greenhouse gas emissions that give more impact to global warming and climate change. Biomass can also help clean the environment and also it's a widely available source of energy. Making use of our biomass energy resources, such as agricultural waste and municipal solid waste, can reduce energy costs and the money spent for this energy stays within the local economy. By providing an alternative for many locations, biomass or waste can supply fuel for industrial facilities that have a high thermal or electrical demand. Biomass power is a carbon neutral. Any carbon that is released into the atmosphere during combustion of biomass was absorbed from the atmosphere at one point in the tree's life. So what it took out ends up going back. Also, biomass power does not threaten forests. It is not necessary to clear forests or chop down trees just for the purpose of getting wood to create the green power. The necessary fuel for biomass facilities comes from waste byproducts, including construction and demolition and waste wood, that from other industries.
Biomass energy has been expertly utilized in the case of Crotcheted Mountain Rehabilitation Center's heating system. Located in Greenfield, New Hampshire, their new wood chip system generates cost savings and fuel security. The center has been open since 1936, but several years ago, the campus's old, expensive, and oil-fired heating system was shutting down. Crotcheted Mountain's president, Donald Shumway, hypothesized on a wood-fueled district system that could heat and cool the entire facility, and if wood chips from the surrounding forest be an optimal and affordable fuel choice. With funding from several foundations, Crotcheted Mountain contracted with the Biomass Energy Resource Center to produce a series of linked feasibility studies, which provided the energy and confidence to reach a solution. The results came in the winter of 2007 to 08. A custom-designed wood chip plant where computer controls select and run parallel boilers for maximum efficiency. That winter, the system met 100% of the campus's heating needs. Burning green hardwood chips at a price equivalent to 61 cents per gallon of fuel oil, it generated cost savings of about $250. The emissions reductions equipment used were a baghouse and a cyclone, and the thermal output was hot water. The center has contracted with a wood chip supplier 10 miles away and calls for chips that are matchbook sized or smaller, with consistent quality and moisture content. The biomass wood resource from wood chips can be sustained indefinitely. It's a healthy alternative fuel overall for people and the planet, and historically cost increase have been much modest than for fossil fuels, Donald Shumway notes. Along with the two wood chip boilers, Crotcheted Mountain's compact new central heating plant building has a smaller oil-fired backup unit which has never had to be operated at all since the boiler's implementation.
The Okeelanta Cogeneration Facility near Lake Okeechobee is where there's an abundance of sugarcane. The power plant is located next to Florida Crystal's largest sugar mill, operated by Okeelanta Corporation. The company farms approximately 168,000 acres of sugarcane to produce, refine, and market more than 385,000 tons of sugar a year. The power plant is permitted to generate 140 megawatts of electricity year-round that is sold under contract to regional utilities. During grinding season, the mills provide 2/3 of the power plant's fuel needs with squeezed used sugarcane known as bagasse. Because the shredded bagasse fibers are high in moisture and low in energy, the bagasse is mixed with wood chips to improve the quality of the combustion and efficiency of the boiler. The wood chips are purchased from land clearing and urban tree trimming activities across South Florida, usually from the east, but sometimes from Naples and Fort Myers. There is a chipper on site if whole wood is delivered, but most arrives already chipped. For example, truckloads of Melaleuca trees, an invasive species removed by South Florida Water Management District, are also a part of the facility's fuel supply. Each tree is capable of soaking up 50 gallons of water a day, but also reproduces quickly and displaces native plant species. Now these harmful exotic trees are being removed from the Everglades National Park and management areas, and this waste wood is being used at Okeelanta as fuel for generating energy. Wood fuel is stored until it is ready to be used in 1 or 3 water-cooled vibrating great stroker boilers, which are designed to produce 440,000 pounds of steam per hour. Converting two waste products, bagasse and woody debris, into a valuable commodity, power, is an important service the Okeelanta Cogeneration Facility provides South Florida. There aren't enough landfill sites to accommodate all the wood waste that the area produces, and burning this wood in open piles would generate far more air pollution. The power plant at Okeelanta has been successful at meeting a need for power and doing so in an environmentally friendly way.